Welcome to the Millionaires mini-series with your hosts Stephanie Keith and Stacey Failing, here to set you up with the most luxurious version of yourself. This podcast is filled with wealthy women vibes and a sneak peek into the millionaire's lifestyle. Whether you're in our millionaire's dreams of taking private jets to deserted islands or you prefer the lighter side of luxury, we have an opportunity for you that is priceless.
Come join us as we share with you all of our juicy money secrets, mindset hacks, and so much more. Money may not buy happiness, but it can provide you with an abundant life beyond your wildest dreams. So turn up the volume, adjust your crown, and get ready to embrace your inner millionaire-ass.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. So I did a lot of shopping this weekend with my daughter, and we're trying to be good this year, like planning ahead for Christmas and kind of getting organized, because I feel like every year I wait until the last minute and things get sold out. And I mean, you know how it goes. But when I was at the store, like I was shocked, first of all, that there's all of the Christmas stuff out. And it just got me thinking, like I had this like vivid sort of like emotional flashback to when I used to get so panicky thinking about spending money around the holidays, because I knew like December's always a big month. And I would really start to like freak out about like, am I going to have enough money to cover this? And so I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably feeling the same way. Like, as exciting as it is, it's like, oh, great. You know, there's going to be a big credit card bill with it. And there's all these fears and limiting beliefs that rise to the surface. So now is a great time to take advantage of the Millionaire's Masterclass that we have, because this is going to help you walk through all of those limiting beliefs that are coming up, especially around the holidays, to help you get into a really good place of like nervous system regulation and calling in abundance versus focusing on the scarcity aspect of it. So we have a great price for that available right now, where you get all of the replays from our mastermind. You get a ton of great resources like subliminals, guided visualizations, tapping videos, all of the things that you need to regulate your nervous system and calm those beliefs so that you're not in this like fight or flight mode while you're shopping throughout the holiday season. So we'll link that in the show notes below. Take advantage of it now. I feel like this is where all of the beliefs come and like hit us in the face. So just be prepared for that. This course will walk you through all of that and leave you in a really good position. So today we're going to talk about spending and how this is a very common limiting belief. I feel like there's kind of like two, baskets that you might fall into. And one is like spending money freaks you out. There's guilt around it, maybe like some feelings of shame around it, maybe anxiety, feeling like you're going to spend that money and it's never going to come back. But then there's also the opposite of that, where some people spend too much money and it's more the beliefs around saving money. I fall into the first bucket 100%. I've always been that way. I get anxiety around spending. And so like ever since I was a kid, I have been in the mode of like hoarding money. And I know where it comes from. Like it totally comes from my dad, because he's, ever since I was a kid, told me about money like running out and how you have to save it and you have to have money for retirement. Otherwise, you're going to be homeless, and like all these crazy limiting beliefs that I've really had to work hard at overcoming. But I want to start out talking about the thing that really helped me just start to flip that switch to where instead of feeling all of this like anxiety and guilt around spending money, I started looking at the value of spending the money. So for example, and I think I got this from the book, it was either The Secret or The Magic, but I started looking at my bills, because that was always a point of extreme anxiety for me, sitting down and paying all the bills. And instead of looking at it as like, oh my gosh, I'm spending hundreds of dollars on the electric bill and all this money on the water bill and the internet and I started looking at it and looking at that bill and thinking, wow, I am so fortunate to live in a place where I have electricity. I have air conditioning in the summer and heat in the winter. And it's so convenient to like flip a switch and the lights come on. And oh my gosh, it's so amazing that we have the internet. I'm so grateful for this internet company that's providing this because I can go on social media. I could talk to people all the way across the world. And I started just looking at like what my life would be like without these things and how grateful I am for them and how I always take them for granted and looking at the value that they're giving me versus the price that I'm paying. And that really, really helped me sort of get out of this feeling of anxiety, guilt for spending too much, scarcity mode, thinking like, how can I cut back? And instead just giving gratitude for the lifestyle that I'm living. So what do you think about that, Stacey? Are you like a spender where you get anxiety around spending? Are you a saver? Like, where do you fall?
Yeah, I love this. I was just thinking, I'm like, this is so perfect because I'm the complete opposite. So I am definitely the spender and I have become really good. I don't know that this is a good thing, but I have become really good at like, I guess balling on a budget, if you will. But I've also, as I've gotten older, and this comes from my family as well, and like their spending habits, and it's just something that I recognize in now becoming an adult and realizing like, this isn't how I want to set up my future. This isn't how I want to set up my kids' future, and really turning my habit around overspending into a way that I can still get what I want, but also prepare and plan for the things that we need and setting aside money for things that come up unexpectedly, because I can't tell you how many times that, and I was a young mom. And so I really did struggle financially when I first got on my feet and just trying to work around, trying to make it all work, but realizing that, things happen unexpectedly to all of us all the time. And to be in that place, I remember just how, the overwhelming sense of like, what am I going to do? And then I feel like it just kind of snowballed that scarcity mindset because I was living in it all the time. And so now rather than overspending all the time and feeling like it has to be one or the other, like I either have to save or I can spend, I can find this place of knowing like, I know I need to be responsible and set money aside for the unexpected things and, just planning for my future, my kids' future, but also what has helped me with that is really paying attention to like my needs versus my wants and really practicing like overcoming that impulse buying because it's like the shiny objects, you go to the store and one thing that has been super helpful is making a list. So if I go to the store with a list, I am really good about sticking to the list and not so much like straying on that impulse. But if I go into a store with no list and it's just like, I'm just going to shop around, I'm going to go down every aisle and see if it's good, I end up overspending because, I didn't have that, the structure that I needed to really keep me on track when it comes to spending. And then that kind of, turns into a little bit of a remorse. I know a lot of people that have like the overspending habits oftentimes have that buyer's remorse where, oh my gosh, I just spent an extra $100 and that money was supposed to go to, XYZ bill or, things like that.
Right.
And so having those habits in place to reduce the financial stress, like, coming up with a list and practicing the mindfulness and changing the money story. And like you said, the magic and the secret and reading all of those books has really helped me overcome my thoughts around money, especially because it was so ingrained, these habits as a child. It's been a struggle to come out of that as an adult. And so just being able to look at money differently, not be living in that scarcity mindset all the time of like, I either have to have all or nothing, and really getting a handle on that impulse buying has helped me tremendously in finding that balance to where I can still, spend what I feel comfortable spending, but also now have that balance of like, okay, now, let's set aside some money and not feel so stressed out all the time because you've gone on this like shopping spree and just overspent and then feel that remorse afterwards.
It makes me think about, kind of like the same concept with overeating, where it's like some people use food as an emotional crutch. Like I've been there many times. Some people like go shopping and buy things as an emotional crutch because you do get that instant gratification. But just like you said, it wears off very quickly. And then you're filled with remorse or guilt or whatever. And I think that's just all the more reason why it's so important to get into these habits of like regulating your nervous system and doing it in healthy ways, like tapping or like meditating or listening to subliminals or things like that. Because oftentimes I do think there's this dysregulation and we make ourselves feel better with these things that really don't make us feel better. They're just like a little Band-Aid and they don't last very long. So that's like a really good perspective to look at though, because you and I are kind of opposite with that. And I do think like that's most people, you're one or the other, right? Something that has helped me also though, is like looking at it kind of like in a different way. So I was raised to kind of believe that when you spend money, like it's just gone and it ran out and you're never going to get it back. And that's so ridiculous because now I realize that you can always make more money. And if you are smart and you have like a big goal and you want to buy something, the way that I look at it now is instead of like, oh, I'm going to save up my money so I can buy this thing, I think, how can I make more money so that I can have this thing? So instead of like looking at it from a scarcity standpoint, I'm looking at it from like money is an endless resource that I just need to tap into. And a good example of that was when I wanted to build a pool in my backyard. And initially I did have that original mindset where I was like, oh my God, it's going to drain my bank account because I'm going to have to save all of this money. But then, you know, my neighbor helped me look at it from that other standpoint. He's like, you're resourceful. Don't you think you could come up with a way to make an extra $300 or $400 a month to pay for this pool? I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like I could totally do that. And so now I do that with everything. Like if there's a program or like something that's kind of pricey that I want to sign up for, I don't even look at my bank account or my PayPal or anything. I just think, how can I make a little bit extra this month to pay for this? And then that way, like, I almost feel like it's free. You know what I mean? It's like, because I've earned that extra money. So that's just something I think that can be helpful for people that really struggle with letting go and like hoard their money.
Yeah. And like the visualizations and things like that, and like acting as if and putting yourself in those situations has really helped me to overcome that scarcity mindset, and like just putting myself in the situation that I want to be in, you know, and really setting those financial goals. So, and that comes with, you know, figuring out ways to make more money and through, you know, all manifesting and abundance and all of those things, but just setting those clear goals and getting super specific. And I know we talk about that a lot, but that can really help you when you do have a money goal. That helps you figure out what you can do to earn, you know, that amount of money. So like you said, a program that you wanted to buy was like, you know, let's say it was $2,000. Well, now you have a goal to set for yourself when it comes to your manifesting practices and things like that to work towards, so that it's not, because I think when we think about financial freedom, we always have these big numbers in our head. But if we can break it down into like, just, I want to purchase this program, or I want to have an extra $2,000 for the holidays, or whatever it is, like that is more tangible for me, at least, to try to manifest and work towards then, you know, this overarching, I need to be financially free and debt free tomorrow, you know, and so just in chunking it into those smaller goals, I think is a little bit more realistic for a lot of us, especially this time of year when we're all, you know, and it, like you said, even though we've set these habits and you are the opposite of me, it's still, the holidays still brings up a lot of these limiting beliefs. So I feel like, you know, the manifesting and the tapping and all the things that we do inside of the masterclass is so helpful this time of year. I even revisit these things because it's just, you know, we are human and sometimes we can get back into those habits and thinking, and just being able to clear that away so that you can walk into the holiday season a little bit less stressed out. And one thing that I have realized in this whole, like my life and in finances and things like that, is when I'm in this scarcity stressed mindset, things become worse. Like being so worried about the things that I can't control really do add more anxiety than it is helpful. And I found that if I can just release and get back into the things that really help me have a positive mindset around money, that's when the abundance starts flowing for me. And it's happened every single time. And it's one of those things that's really hard because logically you're like, yeah, this isn't going to work. But every single time that I've taken that stress and that anxiety and the scarcity away from it is when things flow into me. I don't know if it's been the same for you, but I have to keep reminding myself of that because every time it's worked. And it's so, it feels so much better than having to worry and stress out about it constantly. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Like when I was just on vacation and I was, at the beach, I made really good money that week. And I think it's because you kind of like allow yourself to let go and you're not in that vibration of stress because it's like, yes, our thoughts and our feelings and everything need to be aligned with what we want. But what that does is it shifts your vibration. And if your vibration is in this place of like constant stress and worry, I spent too much, I don't have enough, my bank account is getting lower and lower, or my credit card debt is getting higher and higher, you're in that vibration. So you're like continually manifesting that outcome. And so when you can step away from that and have fun and act as if and calm your vibration. It's not even that you have to be in this super high vibe, like positive state. You just need to get to neutral where you're not like panicking about the spending money or about whatever's in your bank account. And if you can do that, like then you're going to manifest more of that. You're going to manifest that calm, stable, secure state of being instead of this constant like worry and debt state. So it all boils down to your vibration. And again, like that's why this masterclass, just like you said, we constantly revisit it. This isn't like a one and done. Like this is our lifestyle now, and it's something that you just continue to do as you go through life. Like it's not that I went through it and now I never have these beliefs. I still get beliefs all the time. It's just now I almost automatically like know what to do to regulate myself. And so that's really the point that we want everyone to get at, is to be able to regulate their emotions, their vibrational state, so that they can tap in to that outcome that they want instead of continually manifesting the same crappy outcome over and over and over again, because you're just in this constant state of like panic and anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, and it's been huge for me to be able to just, like I said, have this freeing feeling of just being able to let go and trusting that it's worked before. I know what I'm doing. These things that I have ingrained in me work when I do the work. And so if you're just continuously being aware of your limiting beliefs and rephrasing, with affirmations instead of vibrating on that lower frequency, it does shift. And it happens a lot more quickly than I think a lot of us realize when we're in it. But I want to touch on one other thing that comes up around the holidays, especially when you have kids. And Steph, you and I have teens. So I feel like around the holidays, gifts become more expensive, right? The older our kids get, all of the like the new tech and the new, kicks that are out and whatever. How do you navigate that in like helping your kids with their money beliefs around the holidays? Because I know there's a lot of peer pressure with the kids out there in school, and the parents even are like, oh, I have to get my kid like the newest AirPods or whatever because their friends are going to get them. And like, how do you have that conversation with your kids? Are you the parent that like gives in and gets them all the new things, or are there things that you help them in their own mindset around receiving around the holidays? I'm just curious because I know you do a lot of this with your kids.
Yeah. I mean, I think with my daughter, like I really don't have to worry about that with her, because ever since she was young, like around 4 years old, I started with her, like shifting her money mindset as I was learning, to shift my money mindset and really shifting it to that value-based mindset where if she wants something like the new AirPods or the new Nikes or whatever, I'm like, okay, well, what can you do to earn enough money for that? And it instantly shifts her from like, I want to like, I am going to have, like, I can have. And so she's always just kind of gone through, like, it's just a part of her mindset now where she doesn't really expect me to buy her any of that stuff. And I actually have to like ask her, like, okay, you need to pull up some things on the internet and like show me, send me a link for something. Cause she very much just has this mentality of like what she wants, she gets. Like she can get it herself. She manifests stuff all the time. Literally every pair of Nikes this girl owns have been gifted to her from friends that grew out of them. Like I've never had to buy her a pair, and she always has a new pair of Nikes because her friends just like grow out of them and they're like, here, you have smaller feet than me, take them. So it's just, I don't really know how to answer that question because I feel like I've just been working on this since she was so young. With my little kids, like same thing, like Amelia is so funny. We go to the store and she will just grab stuff and put it in the cart. Like this girl has no, understanding that things even cost money.
Right.
And so I just tell them like, okay, we'll put it on your, Christmas list and we'll see. But I think it's just like educating your kids and having a really honest conversation with them because I know with one of our clients, Stacy, I was asked that where she's like, I want my kids to have a really good money mindset. But when we're at the store and they're like wanting like all these expensive, groceries that they absolutely don't need, like, what am I supposed to do? Do I just buy them even though it's like not in the budget? And I was like, no, you educate them. Like, instead of just saying we can't afford that or like, no, you're not going to have that. Educate them as to why. Like, hey, this pair of Nikes is $200. So the budget for Christmas is whatever it is. Do you want that one pair of Nikes or would you rather have like 3 pairs of shorts from Lululemon? You know what I mean? Like just kind of like educate them a little bit because I think with our daughters, they're at the age where they can understand that. And it's not just like, you're going to get it just because you want it, but it's like, this is the budget that I'm going to give you. And then if you want something outside of that, how are you going to come up with that? Like maybe you can work, maybe you can sell something, maybe you can, and it kind of gets them shifted into that other mindset of like, how can you create that money?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I love that about, saying we can't afford this because that's what I grew up hearing constantly is no, we can't afford that. Or that would be nice if we could, but we can't. And I don't want to instill that same thing into my kids. So you're right. Just getting creative like we do with ourselves and like, okay, I want to buy this course or I want this pair of Nikes, but it's not in the budget right now, but how can I make it so that it is in the budget? And really just kind of like, my husband and I are very entrepreneurial. And so our son was just kind of raised in that environment of, watching us do what we do as entrepreneurs and, working with budgets and things like that at a very young age. And so I think that earlier that you can get your kids involved in finances in a healthy way, can be really beneficial. And of course, the subliminals and the manifesting and things like that is great to start with kids too. And like you said, your daughter has been doing this since she was younger. And I kind of grew up like that too. Like if I put my mind to something, I was always able to obtain it somehow and just showing your kids that it's possible. So you are the best example. So if you are doing these things and they are seeing what you are doing and what you're able to achieve through your practices, I think that is the best way to model that to your kids and instilling those things that we wish we had when we were younger so that it didn't take us so long to get here.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And you know what? I'll just throw this out there too. There's an app. I don't know if I talked about it on this podcast yet, but there's an app called Copper that I use with my 14-year-old where you can pay them like based on different things. And so we like downloaded this and she's like, well, I want to earn money. What can I do? I was like, well, you tell me, what are you going to do that you think I should pay you for? And like, she had to come up with like, well, I'll babysit the kids. I was like, great.
Yeah.
That sounds, and so it's like getting her to in that entrepreneurial spirit of like, you come up with it. This isn't my homework assignment. This is yours. Like you're smart. You can figure out a way and I'll let you know, make me a proposal and I'll let you know what I think and we can negotiate about it. And it's just like life skills that are so valuable, whether you believe in manifesting or not. Like this is stuff that teenagers are able to comprehend. And I think they get frustrated when they hear no, period, or like, we can't afford it.
because I said
they're
so, the reason is always because I said
yes.
so. And it's like, well, no, break it down for them so that they can understand, because that's not how life works.
Right. And then and then it makes you just like, well, you're just mean when that's not the real case. It's you've got a budget and
Mhm.
explain that to them, like let them know. Or, something I've done in years past too is I'll just give her cash or gift cards. And it's like, you decide how you want to spend it. And guess what? When I do that and she's the one that has to spend it, she normally doesn't buy frivolous things. Like she'll save it or she'll really give a lot of thought before she buys something. And it kind of puts the responsibility on them, which is a great, way to learn as well. So, I think overall it's like, don't just say like, we can't afford that. Just make it like a learning opportunity and just, they can handle it. Like let them understand a little bit about what your mindset is and why you're telling them no. And I think that they'll accept that. I think when there's no explanation, that's when there's that attitude. But if you can give an explanation and kind of help them understand what it's like to respect money and not just like blow it on a bunch of things that they're not going to be interested in a few months, I think that's empowering for them.
Yeah, definitely learning the value is something
Mhm.
that has been a challenge for a lot of kids, I feel, because we do live in that instant gratification society. We have social media where everybody's just sitting there comparing and wanting the next best thing. And I just think it goes back to that core mindset, and the important things that really matter is, the values. And I think that helps with our spending. Like you said, when you know what it feels like to have to work for something or to really put the effort in to manifest the money for that course or that you wanted, you appreciate it so much more. It's just instilling those core values. And I think that's super important. So if this is something that you're like, yes, I need to get back into this, I want to reframe my mindset for the holidays, and maybe even get your kids on it. The masterclass is self-paced. Everything is in there. You can go through it as quickly as you want. You can revisit it as many times as you need to. And you also have the support inside of our community if you need a little bit of that one-on-one time with other girls who have gone through it. And I mean, Steph and I go through this stuff all the time. Like she said, it's our lifestyle. So the link is in the show notes for you to check that out, and stay tuned. Next week, we're going to have a special guest on and a really awesome limited edition announcement. So looking forward to seeing you back here then.